Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri, and is the world's first single barrel only liquor store. This business is owned and operated by Steve Akley and Jim Fosnot. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to sign up for their email and text distribution list. That way you'll know what they have in stock, what classes are coming up, and what barrel picks they have in the works. We are also sponsored by The Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers a fully customizable carrying case that allows you to take your favorite distilled spirits or cocktail ingredients with you. Whether you're looking for yourself, a customized gift, or logo items for your business or event, The Bar to Go can help. Check them out at thebar2go.com. Use the number 2 when you type out The Bar to Go. Did you know Neely Family Distillery now ships its popular distilled spirits directly to you? To order, simply call 859-394-3258. Tell them the ABV Network sent you. And now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Hello everybody, this is Steve Akley, and here I am again during our special week of replaying some of my Chatting With episodes, a freeform interview show that I was doing for a while till I ran out of time. This one is with my mom, Sandy Akley. Enjoy this interview. Hello everybody and welcome to Chatting With. It's a special edition where we are live here in Alaska visiting family. My name is Steve Akley. I'm joined by my mother today, Sandy Akley. Hey Mom, how's it going?
Going very well, thank you.
You're pretty upset with me because I messed you up, didn't I?
How so?
You were busy playing your online games.
Yes, I was playing my dice with buddies, and he says, "Come on, we got to chat." Really? I'm right in the middle of a game here.
Oh, so we're actually got some downtime here. So my sister Kelly is out. She's doing she's got like a trainer. She hired a personal trainer, so she's doing a workout. And brother-in-law Jeff is working. And my 2 nephews, they're both working as well. So it's just you and I hanging out at my sister's house right now, right?
Right. Just having a good time with the dog.
Yes. We're waiting now. The next thing that we have on the docket is lunch, our first planned activity of the day. That's not bad, right?
I love the lunches. And we're going to the Caboose.
The Caboose, yes.
Never been there.
Never been there. So it's pretty cool. I was there yesterday. Not to the Caboose itself, but next door is a liquor store, and I scored a bottle of E.H. Taylor small batch there for $43.
Very impressive.
Hello.
I can't believe you did it, but
yeah.
You got the good eye. So
yeah, Jeff and I were out, and yes, it was worked out pretty well. So also got a single barrel, and then Jeff got a small batch too. So we had a very successful outing.
Oh my gosh, I'm hoping we can do that tomorrow. We're going to be trying some new stores.
Yeah, we're going to hit some more. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Never know what you're going to find in Alaska.
The fun of the chase. So, the state motto is the last frontier, and maybe it's the last frontier of bourbon hunting because it's not really a thing anymore in the lower 48.
It's kind of undiscovered.
It's so popular. Yeah, here it's kind of, it's a thing, but not as big of a thing as it is. So,
right.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. So, tell us a little bit about what you thought when I was going into a bourbon career. When I was, and I didn't leave my corporate job. I was asked to leave for my corporate job, so I was pushed into that. But I had been doing bourbon stuff beforehand, but it was more of a hobby type of thing, really. I mean, I was earning a little bit of money on the side, but when I was like, I'm going to try to do this full time. What do you think of that?
Well, I didn't know what to think because we actually are people who work for other people. We don't have our own businesses, and so it was kind of a brand new thing for all of us. And bourbon, what is there about bourbon? What can you know about bourbon? But boy, was I wrong.
It's kind of fun, and the weird thing is that both myself and my sister and her family are kind of into the entrepreneurial thing at this point.
Exactly.
So it's really kind of pushing more towards that. My sister's between jobs at this point, but she's going to be interviewing later today. But her and her husband started some businesses and got plans for a lot of other kind of cool things too.
They do. They are really coming up with some clever ideas, and I'm actually shocked. Yeah.
Not only like the store, and they may do more of the stores, but they're doing their first Airbnb thing. So
Yes.
they had bought a condo where my sister's old job was convenient for her to. She lives in Fairbanks, to have one in Anchorage, and now they don't want to necessarily get rid of it. But then they're like, let's try this Airbnb thing. That seems like it's working out really well.
It's working out very well. She's surprised. We're all surprised, but it's a really nice condo, and looks good online. She already got a 5-star review, and I think that helps.
Oh yeah, those reviews definitely help.
Yeah. So and it's conveniently located, and if you want to come visit Anchorage, it's a good place to stay.
Yeah. So they've got that sort of thing. They're looking at other properties and stuff like that. And then even you don't have to say the invention here, because anytime you're talking an invention, you don't want to ever say what it is. But you and Kelly were talking about an invention that she kind of came up with.
We're going on Shark Tank.
Yeah. And she was, you were like, I think I can help with this. So, and I don't know, who knows with that kind of stuff. That's a real, shot in the dark. But then those type of things, if they, hit the right place at the right time, can be very big.
Right.
So that one's TBD, whether or not it can even happen. But if it does, it does, and that'd be pretty cool.
And she's got the skills to seek out how to get it into production and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's a pretty clever idea, and especially for a place like Alaska, the things that we're thinking about.
Yeah.
So, but it could other uses too.
So, and here we are, got nephews. One is 19, and one is 17. We'll be turning 18 soon, and but they're kind of getting to be that age where now we'll be wondering, they've got college in front of them, they're going to school, but as they get through that, what's going to be the next step for them? And it seems like with the parents, it might be more along the lines of entrepreneurial versus hey, I'm going to go to work for this corporation or something like that. And so it seems kind of neat what the future might be with the whole family. I mean, they might really have some cool things.
Right. And Jeff comes from a family that had a business and was very successful, so he's got the good foundation to start a company and run with it.
Yeah. I wish I would have done that. I wish I always, it's weird because I hated the corporate job. I didn't hate it at first. I actually liked it a lot at first. I liked that structure, being a sales guy who worked out of his home and coming into the structure. At first, I liked it, but I liked the idea of rising through the ranks and ultimately becoming, one of the power brokers there. And that wasn't going to happen to me. It wasn't meant to be. I would find out ultimately through a boss who I guess was very frank with me. I didn't like it at the time, but told me, you're never going to go anywhere here. If you want to make more money, go somewhere else. If you want to be here for the rest of your career, then be here, and you can make what you're making, and that'll be your role. And I don't know. I guess you need to hear that sometimes. Maybe.
Well, it really was a wake-up call for you, and really gave you the push to do what you really wanted to do.
Yeah.
And when you
he would do me a favor again. He would fire me. So ultimately, that guy had a big role in my career. Now, I will say this: he wasn't man enough to show up when they fired me. You have to sit down. I had to sit down with my previous boss when I got let go. Usually, you have to go to HR and sit down, and they tell you you've been let go. And he didn't show up for that. He sent a guy who I didn't even report to.
Right.
It had been a previous boss to tell me I'd been let go. So kind of lame, huh?
Yeah.
But that's the corporate world.
It is.
Corporate stinks. Yeah. They try to suck every piece of life out of you. They want to use you. They do have a little club at the top where you can do, but it's like communism. I mean, there's people who do really well in communism, those that are at the top, but the rest don't do good, and they're just trying to get people and do whatever it takes to keep you around. Whether that's doing fake events, like fun holiday parties or whatever it is they can do to try to figure out how to keep you motivated and just keep you working.
Right.
And that's what they're trying to do. So I'm glad to be out of it. I could never go back to it, and luckily I'm at a position in my life where I don't have to go back to it anymore.
Right.
So, but I still have enough in the tank where I can continue to pursue other opportunities on this entrepreneurial thing, and I'm enjoying that. So,
it's finding your passion.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? If it's a chore to get up and go to work every morning, well, you're not in the right field. And what you did is you found something that's an outlet for a lot of creativity and something that you enjoy.
Yeah. Building a network of friends. That's really important to me.
Friends. You've made a lot of good friends that are supportive of what you're doing and get it.
Yeah.
And it was a good choice as it turned out.
Yeah.
It didn't seem so at the time,
Yeah.
but that's life. Things sometimes kick you in the butt, and then you pick yourself up and go on, and it turns out better than what you thought.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, the friends thing is weird because I have the same network of friends. And you could name those guys if I had you name them, because I had a lot of them from grade school all the way through high school, college, and even, when we were young and got married and all that. But, I noticed as people started having kids, things started changing. And we just... none of those guys are my enemies. I'm still, they'd probably do anything for you. If I called them up and said, hey, I need help in the yard, I hurt my back, and I need, my buddies would show up and they would do that. They truly are friends for life. But I don't really see them anymore today because they have their own lives and you just get separated. And it's sad to think about because, you only get one shot at this thing. And at some point, we'll be gone. And I wish we were, hang out all the time. But, life gets in the way.
Time
Yeah.
Time is always a factor. Commitments, you grow apart. You're always, know they're there.
Right.
But yet you just...
And you can pick it up. I get it.
Yeah.
If we got together, we could pick it. We're sitting at the kitchen table here. And if I had all my buddies here, we could pick it up and start telling the same old stories that,
Right.
laugh.
And enjoying each other's company.
But what Bourbon has given me is this whole new group of friends where we do want to hang out and do things that friends do because we have this common interest.
Right. And that's probably the key, the common interest. Life, your buddies pull apart because the families go in different directions. The children have different interests.
Yeah, they're watching hockey games or soccer games or
Right.
whatever, and then they start doing things that they go to the lake. There's a whole group of them
Yes.
within the group that go to the lake every weekend, and I don't do that. I don't have a place at the lake, and I don't really like boating. Not that I don't mind riding in a boat, but I don't want the expense of a boat and maintenance and all that kind of stuff. So
That's just a whirlpool right
Yep.
down the tube. All
Yeah.
that money. Throw your money right in there.
yeah, so those guys like that kind of stuff. So that lost someone through that, and just other things. Just they're busy. And now with me splintering off and not having a corporate gig, I have totally different schedules than those guys do. So if they're
Right.
doing something in the evening. I hate the fact that, I've got a group of cards going back to, Dad, and we played for, 30 years, a regular game. And,
Oh my gosh, yes.
those guys are still around, but I don't really get to play with them because I'm have this business thing and all the commitments I have in the evening, and my schedule's too difficult. So I'll get back together with those guys eventually. I'm working on the plan now. It's coming together.
Yeah, that's right. Well,
2023 is going to be my year of schedule freedom. I'm going to figure this thing out.
I talked to one of your friends recently, and we were lamenting the end of the card games because that was such a thrill for my husband to go to those games and be with those guys. And oh my gosh, it was just so fun for him. I mean, he thoroughly enjoyed his card games.
Yeah. Yeah, we love the cards. That was such a cool thing because you kind of had... this group of guys that was Dad's age, Dad and George and his buddy Dave, they were there. And then you had the group of guys my age. But everybody gets along because, again, you throw all that aside. It doesn't matter that there's, 25-year age difference. There's like two groups with a 25-year age difference. It didn't matter because we just love cards. Yeah. And you know what? Giving hell to the person next to you is the same if you're 30 years old or you're 50 years old.
Exactly.
So, and that's what half the cards is just telling stories and giving each other trouble. It's not about as much about the cards as it is about just having fun with your friends. So yeah, I kind of miss those days, but we're going to get back to it. So eventually, I'm trying.
There you go. That's all you can do.
Hey, this is Steve, and you're enjoying our special Chatting with week of the Bourbon Daily. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Let's talk about the people who make these shows happen. First up is the ABV Barrel Shop. It is the most unique shopping experience in the world of bourbon, as the ABV Barrel Shop only sells single barrels. Owners Steve Akley and Jim Fosnot select. With over 100 distilleries on board to sell us barrels, we are home to the most unique and diverse barrel pick selections in the bourbon world. By signing up for our email, you will always know what we have in stock. In addition to the single barrels, we'll have a gift shop featuring ABV Barrel Shop as well as ABV Network merchandise. We are partnering with vendors like Art Eatables and Old Man Bay Signs to bring you unique items you can't find anywhere else. We will also have a 24-seat classroom where we are offering educational and fun classes like Breakfast and Bourbon, a series where we pair donuts and bourbon, customer barrel picks, and opportunities to learn from master distillers and other bourbon dignitaries. Best of all, we feature a tasting bar where you can try before you buy. All of this is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri. If you are in the St. Louis area, please stop by to say hi. If you're traveling in from outside the area, please take advantage of our hotel rates with the Drury Inn and Pear Tree Inn, less than a mile from our shop. This can be done via the links in our Visit St. Louis section on our website. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to plan your trip. The ABV Barrel Shop. It's where single barrels live. Hi, this is Steve Akley, owner of the ABV Network. We're sponsored by the Stave and Thief Society. This is where you, a bourbon enthusiast, can expand your knowledge and emerge a bourbon steward. In 2017, I completed my Executive Bourbon Steward certification. It's the most comprehensive bourbon certification program available and connects you with an expansive network of bourbon enthusiasts and professionals. Check out the full listing of in-person and online certifications and join the society today by enrolling at staveandthief.com. Okay, let's talk about the Neely Family Distillery. In 2018, I met Royce Neely at an industry event. He started appearing on our shows, and we became friends during my frequent trips to Kentucky. Today, he is amongst the leaders of young distillers leaving their mark on the bourbon industry. A visit to Neely Family Distillery yields insight on their unique family history, why their products are special, and gives you the opportunity to taste their whiskey, moonshine, and creams. Check them out at NeelyFamilyDistillery.com or visit them in Sparta, Kentucky.
Hello, this is Danny Kennard, and I'm recording on the ABV Network.
Yeah. So getting ready to open the liquor store now, which is kind of cool, and it's different.
Very exciting. Wait till your friends see what's going on there.
Yeah, it's looking really good. You've got to see it.
I did a little mini tour.
Yeah. And it's going to be even changed even more.
It's in the works.
It's in the works.
So it's not complete, but it's showing great potential. I think it's going to be. I think everybody will be surprised what's going on there.
Yeah. And we got while we're here in Alaska, my business partner Jim, he's back at the shop working hard still. So he's sending me some photos, and things are really coming together. So yeah, and he's one of those guys again, because I can't do any of that stuff. I take after my dad, who couldn't do any of that stuff. I get it honestly, I guess. So
for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I can't do any of that, and I notice Jim a lot of times if I'm in there, he'll be like, "Hey man, you could just go home," or so I know he doesn't want me there. It's just because there's only so many screwdrivers you can hand to someone when they're busy or something like that. In reality, I'm in the way a lot.
Exactly.
So I give him that space, that freedom to get out of there because I know what he's doing, and and when you're doing that type of stuff. When you're the creative one for that part of the business, you like the idea of ta-da. You don't like the person being there each step of the way and seeing that. You like the reaction of the big difference,
the grand reveal.
Right.
That's right.
So he's definitely into that. So yeah, if you're there each step of the way, it's not quite as appealing. And he likes the satisfaction of you walking in and seeing it done. So I think that's kind of a cool component to it. Yeah. That's something that, I could have never imagined myself doing. I didn't start the ABV Network to think down the road I'm going to open up this barrel shop, the first ever single barrel liquor store. Never thought anything about that, but this is how this thing evolves.
Yes. Well, I always credit your creativity because you have a mind that's always working. We gotta. What's next? What can I do that's different? How can I keep people interested?
Yeah.
And you do that with so many different things. And you got good writing. I read your story today about the Crown Royal bag, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And
those were good days, weren't they? Those were back to my. If you hadn't read that article, I just did it in a promo for one of our events that includes a vintage bottle of Crown Royal. And I told the story of those old Crown Royal bags because my dad's friends used to always bring their money, which was like quarters and stuff like that, for poker back in the 70s. When he was playing 70s and 80s. When they'd come over to the house, him and his friends would, they'd all come over to the house, and they probably played at our house more than any house. They'd play at other places occasionally. But I think for the most part, we were the destination for the poker game.
Right.
So.
And Crown Royal bags.
Yeah, those guys all had their Crown Royal bags.
And I think probably I still have his somewhere.
Probably. And they're a little bit nicer quality back. Just like everything, the quality of those older Crown Royal bags is better because they still come in the bag.
Yeah.
But Crown Royal has actually taken a big hit. It's not.
Not what it used to be.
Not what it used to be. Yeah. So it's not held to those lofty standards like it was back in those days. So back in the day that was good. But I remember all those guys coming over and Miles McDonald and Cal Hall and just all those guys come over and play cards. And
I think Spicer.
Oh yeah, Spicer definitely played. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So that was fun. I wish I would have paid more attention to the game and know like who was good and who's I was too young to pay attention to that sort of detail.
No, I just stayed away.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
Right.
Probably a good idea. But there would be a lot of food and stuff like that. This was I play cards. The policy is you provide water, bottled water. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
With those
I think
card
we
games,
try to have stuff to eat. Everybody likes to eat.
Yeah, there'd always be some sort of food and stuff. So Dad's games were better than my games. It's like the old day, like the Crown is it what it used to be? Well, the poker games in the Akley family aren't what they used to be.
Exactly.
So,
but that's time goes by.
Yeah,
things
time
change.
goes by. Yeah. So, what did you think I was going to do when I was a kid growing up? Did you have any idea?
No, I didn't. I did think that our thoughts were that you would go into the carpet world because that's what Dad kind of wanted you to do. He did not want you to be a policeman. He did want you to have a regular job. As I said, we never thought about owning a business because that just wasn't in our DNA.
Thing, yeah.
And I really can't think of what was be good. And then when you decided on your degree and it was marketing, I didn't know anything about that either. But then now I see the things that you've done. Marketing was like the perfect degree for you because it gave you the ability to be creative and to come up with these ideas and to run events, to run classes where you're teaching.
Yeah. Do you remember, I don't think you remember this because it's a long time ago, it's in my history, but when I graduated, to me at that point, the ultimate job would have been to work for an ad agency.
Right.
To create ads because I love marketing. I still love it today. I love to go to the grocery store just because I love to see what's happening with brands. I love to look at the labels and see the placement. And I just love everything about the consumerism of marketing to individuals, and I wanted to work for a place like that created ad campaigns and things like that. That would have been my dream coming out of college. And I interviewed at Darcy, Macias, Benton, and Bowles, which at the time had Anheuser-Busch. I assume they don't anymore. Everything changes these days, but they had them for like forever at that point. And I interviewed with them, and they made me a job offer. And that job offer was for like $14,000 a year. And I was making more than that part-time working at the grocery store. And I said no. And I don't know if, and I kicked myself for years later being like, well, you didn't have any responsibilities at that point. You should have taken that job and then you would have been on a whole different career path. But I don't know. I would have been on a different career path.
Right.
And hopefully that would have worked out and been great. But I don't know. With the benefit of hindsight, I guess I like how everything worked out the other way. But
I think that it worked out pretty well. I think that you were able to use your skills in other ways. And I don't, that ad agency, I don't know.
Yeah,
that would have been the right path.
That's a tough gig, right? You got to continue to come up with the most creative things, and I think that
you don't win accounts, then you're out.
Yeah, you're out. Yeah, you have to always create not only just ad campaigns, but ones that do very well, and it's nonstop. So I don't know if that would have been a good thing.
I think as it turned out, things worked out very well.
Yeah. What I found is, again, I worked for a company, and I worked in the moving business. And the moving business, of course, is, you talk about an old time business. Nothing's changed really. I mean, they've got added computers and things like that. But in reality, moving is taking a truck and moving things from boxes from point A to point B. And, they don't have a whole lot of creative people in there. So they would bring me into their marketing meetings and stuff like that, coming up with names for this new program and stuff like that. And I wasn't in marketing, but there's just wasn't enough creative people there. So I always got to do those type of things. And I brought this whole creative side to the sales, especially when we did sales training. I developed all these unique ways, just like the things I'm doing now with the ABV Network. You talk about engaging your listeners and your audience and that. I would have to do that with salespeople because you got to get them to pay attention to the training and the things that you want them to learn. And
right.
you can't, so many people think that you just give them the facts. So you have a class and you stand at the front of the class and you read slides that have the information that they need to know. And that's how you train someone. And in the moving industry, that's pretty much how they did things. And I would come in and be like, let's make it a show. Let's have an announcer who doesn't do anything but just announces people between the. So it's like you're sitting in this classroom and then you got this guy that comes up to the microphone and then introduces someone and then they present and they're an expert in this area. And you make sure that they're not reading slides. They're doing it like a talk show. They're interviewing someone else that's asking them questions. And then I bring in someone else who does, stands up and tells stories about. It worked out well. Yeah.
Right.
And I don't think they ever knew what to do with me, though. They liked what I did,
right.
but they didn't know what to do with me. There was no okay, from here you could be this next job because the job I was doing wasn't even defined as how I was doing it.
Right.
And ultimately they loved what I did. And, it's so funny to think about. I know all that stuff ended the day I left. And I assume they're back to someone's at the front of the classroom reading PowerPoint slides.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't worry about that too much because I don't care.
We have moved on.
Yeah. So I moved on. They moved on. And it's a good thing. It's so funny, though. Corporate job. You think, I spent 20 years there, and you think, well, you're ingrained for life. I could walk in there and nobody know who I am.
Oh,
I mean,
right.
They've had so much turnover anyway.
Right.
Sure. There's literally probably 10% of the people, even though it's only been 5 years since I've been gone, there's probably only 10% of the people left that was there when I was there. And how many of those 10% know me? Some. Certainly there's some, but not a lot. So, yeah. I like what I'm doing now. It's fun.
This is better.
Yeah, this is better. Yeah. So I always tell the story when I was a kid. You guys didn't drink, but you would be holiday drinkers. So we'd have family events like.
You had it available.
Yeah, it was available. Yeah, and you would do parties and family events. You do like 4th of July cookout or whatever it is, and Thanksgiving and Christmas, and there would always be something tied in there. And again, Dad was never a beer drinker, and neither were you. So when you would have events that would have that, it would typically be some sort of cocktail, and for the most part, it was bourbon cocktails. I mean,
right?
Eggnog with bourbon or bourbon slushies in the summertime.
Yes, and just old fashions and stuff like that. It was pretty basic, but it was bourbon based.
Yeah. So. Yeah, you always were a bourbon fan. David Nicholson, 1843, the big St. Louis brand.
Good.
That's the good stuff, right?
Yeah, mix that with amaretto, and you got yourself a Godfather.
There you go. There's the Godfather.
I love that Godfather. They got me though, so I kind of laid off that.
Yeah.
But Steve did not even know the story, and I had texted him one time. Something came up about old granddad. And one time for Christmas, we gave my grandpa a bottle of Old Granddad, and he's like, "Woo, the good stuff." Because Steve didn't know that he had a shot of whiskey every night before he went to bed.
Yeah, how about that? That's pretty good.
He liked his whiskey. But it was just that one shot. That's all he needed.
Yeah, that's all he needed. So, but yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. But if you got Old Granddad, that was high end.
That's high end.
I don't know what he was paying for whatever he got.
I'll tell you what, though, the funny thing is, Old Granddad, was always kind of a value bourbon, if you will. Never was a high-end one. But, and again, talk about the evolution. And again, a lot of it's the grains, because, the grains back when your grandfather was drinking Old Granddad, which has always been there, by the way. Old Granddad goes back to the 1800s, so it's always been there. But, sometimes these days you get a dusty, people that collect those things that find things in their grandparents' liquor cabinet, one that hasn't been opened or whatever, and you taste that old granddad. It's amazing. The grains and stuff like that have changed, and the processes have changed, and they figured out ways to cut corners here and there to save money. But you see the expense of that. You don't necessarily know it as a bourbon fan as you're tasting what they offer today, but then you go back and you taste that old bourbon, and you're like, man, they've cut some corners here, because that's like an old butterscotch bomb. I mean, the flavor is so great in that old granddad. So, and I could see why we would call it the good stuff. It was good. It was good stuff back in those days.
Well, he enjoyed it, and Mom enjoyed her highballs, and Dad. Mom would have an occasional beer, but really, we just weren't a drinking family.
Yeah, not really.
Except for holidays.
Holidays, yeah.
Even when I was a kid, I had the wine spritzer thing. Mogan David wine.
Mogan David, okay.
Yeah, so that's and with mixed with white soda.
Okay.
So we could have that at like Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas dinner, or something like that.
I interviewed a company recently, Penelope Bourbon, and I'm going to say this, and someone can easily correct me because I don't know everything, but they were talking about they were trying to do a rosé finish. So a big thing is to take your bourbon and then you put it in another barrel that's been used to age something else, and then it takes on some of the essence of that product. Mm-hmm. But they were telling me that rosé really isn't a thing with finishes. And I as I think of it, I can't think of any. There's so many different brands. Over 2,000. Somebody's probably done it before, but it's definitely not a big thing. That's for sure. But those guys did it because one of their wives loves rosé. Mm-hmm. And so, and they were looking for new ideas, and she said, "Well, finish it in a rosé cask," and they ultimately did, and it turned out great. And they liked it so much, and the rosé barrels are so hard to get, the real rosé stuff, like the good stuff, not the cheap stuff, bottom shelf rosé, but the good stuff from France. It was so hard to get that they partnered with a French winery to develop their own brand of rosé. Then they'll use the barrels that they made their rosé in to then finish their bourbon, which I think is a cool idea.
Exactly.
They've closed the supply chain loop, and they're using their own barrels. And now they have a bonus brand out of it too, which is kind of cool because one of their wives loves rosé.
Right.
I'll have to get you a bottle of that because you like rosé. Famously, you like rosé.
We were always out. It was always
who drank all that was always out?
I don't know. The Angels, I think.
The Angel share. Yeah, the Angel share.
I think they might have.
Typically doesn't affect the bottles like that, though. It's usually that would be discussion around the barrels, but in your case, it was the bottle. Yeah.
It wasn't a cask. Barrel.
So, that's kind of fun. But we're enjoying our time up here in Alaska, and we're going to be doing some touristy stuff. We're going to go to the little town of North Pole tomorrow, it sounds like.
See the Santa Claus house?
Yeah, we want to see that. So, they got it's Christmas every day there, so which is nice.
And I'm taking some birthday cards there so they can be postmarked from the North Pole.
That's kind of cool.
That's cool.
It's so quirky that there's a guy running for U.S. Congress. Now, apparently there's an open seat, and it'll only go till November, and he's running for it now, kind of to fill that seat. But this guy's from North Pole, Alaska, and he legally changed his name to Santa Claus. So he's Santa Claus from North Pole, and he's running for Congress. I wonder if he'll win just based on the name.
I wish he would, just for the
fun of it. And it's this short-term thing, so, you'd be like, well, then we'll just get him out of there. I know how long it takes to get a pension. You have to be in it 6 years. So senators set up where they have 6-year runs. So you make it one time, you get the pension. If you're a congressman, though, that's only a 2-year thing. And this, of course, is even shorter than that. Right. So you're not costing the long term. And people in Alaska like to have a little fun. Well, Santa Claus might just get voted in. Santa Claus may be going to Congress. You got the scoop here first on Chatting With.
We did ask Steve's sister, my daughter, if she voted for Santa Claus, but she did not tell us.
We don't know.
So we don't know.
We may have had a vote for Santa in the family, but we don't know.
We're not sure. She won't tell, so makes me suspicious that she did.
Yeah. So it's fun. It's fun. We'll see how Santa does. So kind of excited about that.
And for all you folks who are wondering, it is quite chilly here.
It is
like 35 this morning, and did snow the other day.
Yeah.
On Saturday, it snowed. We had snow accumulating in the yard. So Burr.
Yeah. I think you get a little wackadoodle when you live up here because you act like it's not a big thing. I mean, we went to the distillery and it's cold.
It's cold.
It's cold as can be. And they have a neat outdoor seating area, but, like a three-season room, you might call it if you're in the lower 48. Yeah. Because there's no insulation or anything like that. And so people are there, and they got the garage. There's a garage door, and they got it open. It's like in the 30s,
and it's windy.
And it's windy, and it's cold in there.
It's cold.
It's bitterly cold in there, and everybody's just sitting around, drinking cocktails and that.
The killer for me is I'm all bundled up, and there's these little kids, probably preschool age, T-shirts.
Yeah.
They got on T-shirts and jeans. At least they have jeans because usually it's shorts.
Yeah.
So it's amazing,
Yeah. I wonder what would happen if you took someone from Alaska, and I guess they've got family members that are living in Arizona. I wonder what it was like for the first 6 months for them. And now if they've assimilated to that, and are they people that like the warm weather now and then would struggle with the cold weather? Or are you just always that way? Is that in your DNA? Well, we have to ask Kelly about that. How they're like. Because for sure it's going to be tough going in. You see that
Well, when
Kelly comes down to visit, they're miserable.
Yeah, they struggle with our heat and humidity in St. Louis. So I struggle with it. So
yeah, but it would be interesting to see how someone who was born and raised in this area now moved to an area that's known for its super heat.
Like Jeff's sister.
Yeah, Jeff's sister. And then she's going to be moving to Florida, so it'll be the heat plus the humidity. There. Right. In Arizona, you get the heat without the humidity.
Right.
Which, I guess once it gets over to 150, I think it's those crazy temperatures in Arizona, 115, 118. Yeah. It doesn't really matter at that point. Probably 85, 90 with no humidity is way more tolerable than 85 or 90 in St. Louis with 100% humidity. But once you get to 118, you're not like, oh, this is great. This feels good.
Yeah.
It's just hot. It's a convection oven at that point. You're walking around when you're outside. So, yeah. So, all right. Well, on that note, we're going to wrap this one up, and we'll do it as we always do by talking about where people can find us. For me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakley.com. We've also got a company website. That thing's abvnetwork.com. Check it out. Everything that we do is out there. Previous shows, blogs, podcasts, so much more. abvnetwork.com. Come by and see us, the ABV Barrel Shop. We are here in Arnold, Missouri, a St. Louis suburb. We'd love to show you what we've got in terms of barrel picks. You can taste before you buy here. Pretty cool. At a very minimum, sign up at abvbarrelshop.com for our email and text distribution. And please get involved with the show. Head over to patreon.com/the ABV Network and give us a 5-star review. It helps new people find the show. That's pretty darn important to us. On that note, we will let you go for today, but we'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya. Peace. Before we finish the show, let's talk about some great companies that support the ABV network. First up is Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro has a full line of products to help the home distiller. Whether you want to experiment on the stove in your kitchen or you're looking for a bigger setup in your backyard, owner Russell Creed and his team can help. They have multiple still offerings, accessories, and even grain from their partners at Goldstone Mill to assist you in making whiskey on par with your favorite distillery. They can also help you with some fabricated parts you probably can't make yourself if you are attempting a DIY still project. Learn more or order your still or parts at moonshinestillpro.com. Last but not least is the ABV Barrel Shop. While we don't get to play in the allocated bourbon game because we aren't selling the other products you have to do to get those, we do have access via our friendships in the bourbon industry to some really cool stuff. Have you ever seen your favorite craft distiller selling some really cool limited offerings only in their gift shop? I'm talking things like the hazmat offering Distillery 291 did for their 10th anniversary, or Neely Family Distillery's Papaw's birthday barrel. They don't have enough of it to send it out to distributors, so they only sell it via their gift shop. Well, companies like Distillery 291 and Neely Family Distillery have agreed to sell us 2 or 3 cases of these offerings moving forward, meaning our store will have the access to some of the rarest whiskeys in the world. Way more difficult to come by than the allocated bourbon offerings with the national release. Yes, they will be extremely tough to come by, but if you're a customer of our store, you'll have a chance to get them. Get signed up for our email or text list over at abvbarrelshop.com so you don't miss out.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening, and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akley production.